Hey, it's Alex. So we're gonna do another personal video. This is gonna be personal video, April 24th, 2020. This is that. Today's been weird. Today's been this strange sort of bunch of things happening behind the scenes sort of stuff, not really let know exactly what it is, but I think a lot of people saved, a lot of people defended, a lot of people protected, a lot of good things happening in a certain sense. And I don't know if it's in response to something that happened 2, 3 days, 4 days previous, or if it's something else. I don't think it's from the 21st. I think it's from what Spirit Guides relayed in the light. I don't know who is being saved. Is it a bunch of different people? Is like, I mean, they're talking about, let's just say, Earth-based and solar star system, as well as what Spirit Guides indicated regarding. Well, okay, correct, but it's a part of something bigger, is what you're saying, or at least some are trying to say that. It is technically speaking a part of something bigger, but not necessarily what some are trying to relay. I know that Spirit Guides are advocating for the best possible things we could have advocated in regards to marketing, fishing, etc. Spirit Guides cross-referenced with what Spirit Guides relayed. You don't know why, because that's what they all said. They said artistry. This is what it was supposed to be. Artistry was something that was going on, let known of different kinds of story happenings that I discerned. It's everywhere. Every day there's something in regards to art and story. Many different things to be true. But there was something I looked at, within the past 10, 15 days, and what was all that about? I don't know what it was about fully, but they kind of tried to point at something and tried to make a storyline to say that I was going against, trying to make me say that I should go against the artist and things of that nature. I've been fairly decent. That's the way I feel about it. I've continued to go with the artist vision. That means Spirit Guides negated cross-reference to with what Spirit Guides relayed. I can only go so far by way of my ethical and what Spirit Guides relayed in the light. And when you think of it in regards to someone else trying to encroach upon a certain person, spiritual, whether they promote immorality or not. So specifically, when you look at it from that perspective of a certain kind of person who promotes immorality and someone trying to attack them by way of certain things and, trying to get me to go a certain kind of direction, um, in which gets that certain kind of spiritual harmed. I mean, at what point am I supposed to not cross those lines, and at what point am I supposed to cross those lines? Specifically in the world, specifically in regards to certain areas that's continue. Well, those areas are moving. Some of them, that means Spirit Guides indicating the light, are moving on, and also I am being moved to the good places. That means Spirit Guides indicating the light. It's been what it is. Again, someone trying to encroach upon that direction in a certain sense, a certain kind of good arriving, deploying, saving, and then also retrievals happening as well in the mix pertaining. So deployments and retrievals happening, and from good groups that means Spirit Guides relayed. I mean, those that mean Spirit Guides indicating the light. It was requested, it was called upon, went the direction that means Spirit Guides relayed the light, but it has been called upon, even within some of those directions that means Spirit Guides indicating the light from myself and others to mean Spirit Guides upon the reasonings that mean Spirit Guides relayed. It's one of those ones where it's seen and discerned for what it is. Again, there was a storyline in regards to certain kind of artwork and things of that nature, artistry, and artistic ability, something to do with like garnering traits and that sort of stuff. Some of it's been, it's all over the map. It's all over the map. There's some of it that was garnered by way of natural ability. There was some of it that was garnered by way of working at it throughout one's life, and then gaining a certain kind of ability. But the way I look at it, the way I've seen it to be, is that it is a bit all over the map. It is not all the same. And there is unfairness in the mix. It's not all just, all fair across the board. There's some unfairness in the mix. Specifically suppression of certain abilities and things of that nature, and hijacking of certain kind of systems in regards to certain kind of dimensional and other kinds that Spirit Guides relayed, to then create certain kind of artwork, and some of it hijacking the artwork that previous spiritual and other kind that means Jasmine are supposed to be working on, to then rather another kind of spiritual steal that kind of stuff and create something similar and slash or different. There's been that sort of thing. I'm one of those people that says regardless. I mean, if you are in one of those places that means for guides negative where you can set ability, I still find there to be magnificence and beauty within art itself, regardless of being able to set attributes in regards to artistry upon oneself to be what one wants. And I know some look at it and say, well, where's the fun in regards to some of it? But I look at it from upon the perspective that there is many kinds of fun that exist within the pursuit of artistry. You think about that sort of thing that says, well, is it always that sort of thing that you have to set your abilities and you can set your abilities the way you want? No is the answer. Is multiple kinds of systems that exist where you can venture forth and hone abilities and skills fairly, and other kinds too, where there's not a problem. And I think that it's less of a problem in regards to certain things because certain people have looked at it. But there is some in the mix that do say like there is a bit of a problematic. And targetings in regards to certain groups. I mean, that's the case that there's been. I mean, what's it been? Certain kind of suppression of art in regards to certain kind. So I don't know what to tell you. That's really, if that's it, then that's the case. There's nothing else to say. It's one of those things being said, but I don't know if it's as emphasized as what some are saying. In fact, stealing now on one of them has been one of those ones to a certain degree that I've noted. But some of it's not stealing, some of it's fair trade in the ways in which spirit guides were laid, because those who did fair trade under the labelment of certain kind of stealing, imagine that in certain kind of other dimensional, there is that sort of thing that takes place upon certain kind of immoral cultures and society and moral cultures and society coexisting together, where there is that sort of thing that says, you know, upon a certain kind of trade, it looks like stealing for reputational defense purposes and things of that nature. There is that exists, but then some claim it to be that in certain, you know, moments where, you know, I don't want the blood of their heads on my hands. I mean, it's the real true. I don't. But at the same time, I still need to speak truth in regards to the moments that spirit guides were laid, and at what point does punishment be utilized to not necessarily tell truth and thwart compensation? What say mercantile? That's kind of how I feel. Well, are you correct? You don't know why mercantile scares me more. Could be true. There's something about it. But punishment is right on par, as well as in a certain context, partially by way of its nature. Well, are you correct? Yeah, I think so. All right. So either way, they both scare me in a certain sense, but they also don't in a certain manner, which does elate someone in a certain context, even if subtle in nature. Well, okay, correct. Artistry's been some of them. Yeah, they said that there was huge vindication on the 23rd. That's what they said. And it looked kind of Mick, what the heck's going on here? It looked like it was already in the winds. Like that's sort of how I discerned it, but I don't know how. Well, I do know how. It's been in the winds. People have been paying attention to this process. People have been seeing what's going on during April 2020. People have been writing stuff down and keeping track of things that are taking place. Event Recordings History All-Star Month is what I say. That's how I feel about it. They did damn decent in tough situations, and I am calling upon what spirit guides relayed in regards to smart communication, etc. Guides to keep those that spirit guides indicated safe in doing so. You don't know why, because you're watching things unfold here that is not supposed to be, to a certain degree. Guys, we're supposed to do this. I think it's a bit of a perception, good sir. I mean, just, you know, it's just a dream. All right, well, whatever. You know what? Good for you. But yeah, it was already in the winds. It was already in the peripherals. There was already people who already understood about it, and there was some stuff happening on Earth based in which was partially causing certain kinds to say, "Look, I'm going to pay attention to what's going on here because I know there's going to be a boiling point and something else." And there was. I mean, the 23rd, I went outside and it looked like I was vindicated in every which way I looked. I mean, I did a couple key things. Stood on Earth. There was people traversed outside the household. There was a bunch of different other things too that had caused it to be a bit vindicated in a certain manner. And one of the things that was happening was people were being saved and situated in a certain, in different kind of directions, imploding and unfolding this patchwork of whatever. Like, I kind of feel that way though. There was this patchwork on 19th, and it looked solid and rock solid. Rock solid, looked rock solid to me, and that is how I felt about it. But I didn't really know the ins and outs of the details as to what this patchwork was. 19th, things got a little bit situated from all the way from the 8th all the way to the 19th. There was that wild ride of what's going on here, Alex. We're going to let you in on a little bit of some of the stuff that exists, give you a little bit of an update, show you a little bit of things, and a bunch of other things in the mix too, to a certain degree. You know, you smoke a bowl of wax. Is it supposed to be what I experienced on the 8th? No, is the answer. They make fun of me real freaking badly. Like, they hurt me. They hurt in a certain manner, but they also went after me in a certain kind of manner, and I did get hurt in regards. And that sort of thing. They said, well, we were going after his reputational defense. Are we honestly going to sit here and say, was this that Alex? But either way, in regards to who I am and what I consider myself to be, and at least for a certain portion of myself, it does consider an attack on certain kind of life utilization. That means spirit guides are relayed to be a serious matter, almost as if myself had been attacked in a certain context. It's close to that line. They are close to that line, if it's not on the same line pertaining to a certain aspect of self in regards to myself. Okay, correct. So at what point do they start going after life utilization? Those, saying that they're me in certain areas, and that's what happened. The 8th all the way to, it went on for a bit. It went on for like 8 days. I think the 16th kind of changed it a bit. I don't know what was happening on the 16th, but I know on the 8th onwards, they had talked about those lines, like, what's the most close you've been to those who've hurt you? Or, what's the, those hangout areas where nobody ever gets harmed in regards to certain things, certain kind of clubbing where you hang out with certain kind who sometimes work against you. And they started targeting that portion of me in regards to, that cool kind of still, mingling with certain kind to a certain extent, and especially in regards to my life utilization, all the while as a life utilization as well as encroaching upon me in the same time frame. Look, there was a storyline where it's like, we've lived billions of years through you, Alex. How can you say that we don't have a claim on this life? I'm like, because this is my life, bub, regardless of whether you live billions, trillions, or years. Whatever the hell else it is that means spirit guides relayed, this is still my life. And I'm not saying that there isn't a certain portion that's owned by those that mean spirit guides relayed, but is it those that mean spirit guides relayed? That was the first off as to, wait a second, if it isn't, then, I have these vagabonds, leeching on me to help me. And it's been seen all of a sudden, it's like a life utilization for millions of years. They steal a certain kind of interaction framework because I'm no longer going to be going to those sort of dimensional areas, or it was let know that I'm not going to be going to those dimensional areas. Of course, there's another group somewhere else saying it's supposed to be ours, and they utilize that, which was supposedly supposed to be for me, but wasn't. And then you see like kingdoms be created, kings and like different kinds of authority figures, and then like 5 minutes later, after all this kind of storyline work, they come back after billions years later, and they're like, oh, we just got to fix something over here, and then, back at it again. And like, okay, correct. Because the spirit knows. That's the best thing about it, is that the spirit will understand what I'm talking about way more than what some have led on to be. Yeah, okay, correct. And I'm not trying to be upsetting or insulting. I think some were trying to help me. A lot were trying to help me. One of the greatest things that happened within that 8-day time frame was that life utilization regarding had been mended in a certain manner. I'm wondering if it was amending in regards to certain life utilization in regards to me, and certain life utilization in regards to life utilization in regards to me, because I'm fairly certain there's probably a variable in the mix where it has something to do with, and it's like, who is this person over here who has nothing to do with this? There's been moments where behind the scenes I'm hidden away in a cupboard, off on the corner side of my mind when these bigs and scary people are moving through my body. In other dimensional that I can feel, and there's other ones that I can't feel. There's been that sort of thing that's been let know to a certain degree. To a certain extent, what has been happening, what are we experiencing, matters greatly. And this sort of just, poo-poo, walk away, kind of just do the hand wave. It's not that bad. That's not gonna, is that you saying it though? Because it's often said to be. It's often said to be. Good sir. And if it isn't, that let know that that is not how some are operating really does matter. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If you want to play it that way, that's your choice. There is prerogative, there is choice, there is that sort of thing. But you shocking this area here and trying to claim that somehow they're the bad guys, doesn't fly with me anymore. I mean, this is the case. I might as well go this way because if people aren't listening to me at times. So why shouldn't I just go this way to say that they're not even the bad guys? Or, well, okay, correct, because they're not. Well, move me dimensionally where meets per guides relayed. Okay, correct. The 23rd, something understood. I talked about certain things, and it was just like, spoke a couple names, did a couple informational placements, stood on Earth, and all of a sudden it was like, sunny Mexico, things are getting better, everything's going to be decent. And I'm wondering what is the cold switch when I go to sleep and all of a sudden it looks to be different? Is it like, it's like, oh no, more events, we have to go somewhere else now? You know what I mean? Is it that sort of thing? And at what point do those events that take place are real? Like someone planting a certain kind of device in some other area across the way to cause a certain kind of disturbance? Because there's just that sort of thing where it's like, oh well, it wasn't just a smoke and mirrors to a certain degree, but how many things happen over here when somebody's standing over the other side of Earth being like, we're right in the middle of a discussion that was most important, good sir, and then a bunch of people show up over here and they're like, we're saving you, Alex, it's what we're doing. At what point does it not look to be just a mixed bag? A certain kind of attacking each other through, but also, there's this game of not talking about what needs to be talked about and stalling across certain boards. There's a couple boards that are just like, it's been here for how long? I mean, okay, correct. There's just some months. And I am one of those people, like, within the proximity and vicinity that does point towards certain things at times. 24th was weird. It was like the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd, and even maybe a bit of the 20th. Smooth runnings, amazing writing. I think it was the 20th too. 20th as well, wasn't it? Yeah, Monday. Monday went well. Tuesday went well. Wednesday went well. Thursday went well. 4 days of really good work, and I just had to suck it to them right on this day to kind of just not really do much of anything upon feeling certain kind of energies letting me know that somebody didn't want me to work. Because, and then someone like, well, maybe it's just you feeling like you don't want to work. Well, as a psychic medium, I've been able to feel the energy machinisms from certain kind that have been pressed upon me to get me to not work on schedule. And considering how important it is, that schedule in regards to doing certain things, unless it doesn't matter at all. At least, it doesn't it? Does it? Are you certain? Are you certain, Alex? Am I? I don't know. I don't think it's as much as that, though. You don't know why. For someone else, it isn't either. Well, it is interesting. Because there is a whole freaking power play happening, and it's just amazing and awesome to see, all entertaining and all that sort of thing. Well, okay, correct. But at the end of the day, and it's not just at the end of the day, it seems to be happening, and I'm not trying to press upon certain people. I am trying to let know that, there is that sort of thing that I care about entertainment, I care about artistry, but, the terrible things that happen to me, I mean, at what point and how am I supposed to reconcile in regards to certain things? The answer is simple. The answer is simple is that I can. Can you? I've proven that I can. You have proven that you can. You've proven that you could. Well, at times I can't, because they say this. So why do we need to interrupt certain kind of artistry and entertainment upon the terrible things that have happened upon me? Because they're saying this is the case. Well, hey, if you make it stark plain to be understood, then the simpletons can proceed. I don't know why it is. Just say it, dang you. Why? Because seriously, it's like this. I'm kind of half talking, not really. Correct. It kind of feels that way, and it translates that way. Unless it is, I'm totally wrong, right? It's clear, crystal. It's what we wanted to say. Okay. Well, I do apologize. I'm not meaning to upset. I don't know what to, come on, for frick's sake. It is one of those ones that I like, that I try to facilitate, because that's also it. That's what they say. They say you facilitated that artist's vision. That's the case. But I did go with some of the stuff that means spirit guides indicate the light. I mean, I went a fairly decent route. Okay, correct. That's one of the fairly decents. And one of the things they've been talking about as of late is that sort of thing where it's like, well, why don't you facilitate a film gets made and a certain kind of immorality, wants to create its own thing. How am I supposed to endorse certain things like that, specifically if it's getting people harmed, and some of the time getting me harmed? Well, okay, correct. Well, that's what they say. Because you had to break off for some reason. That's what it says, is you had to break off for a reason here, and you don't know why. I had to say it. I think that should be confronted. And what is my main spirit guide's response? Because what it was is really the importance of the matter and how I feel about it. And this is the case. This is my content, good sir. And oftentimes this need to be pulled. I'm pulling it now. Oh, yeah, yes. Okay. You pull both. Yes, that's how I feel about it. Because on this one, that is how important it is. You don't know why. Because, well, good for you. That's all. It was going like that. And then just wait 5 minutes. Or wait 5 minutes, huh? Well, there's a circle off to the side section of the screen. That means spirit guides indicate the light. Well, correct. You don't know why. Anyway, I go with what means spirit guides indicating light. But wait a second here. You don't know why. There's something else you do. Because you don't have the answer for this fully. No, not fully. Because someone looked at it and said, when a Hollywood film's being created, Alex James is going with the artist's vision, cross-referenced with what his main spirit guides indicated. But of course, Alex also understands a bit of how some of it's working. But one of the things that hasn't been talked about to a certain extent is that some of it doesn't work the way as to how some have been insinuating it does. And then there are ones that do. Okay, there are ones that do, and that is the case. And how does that work, Alex? Well, I'd advocate for safety and I'd advocate for what means spirit guides relayed. For me, does it do more damage than not? Ooh. Well, if we don't, then we would look like a fool, Alex. That's correct. That is correct. That is true. You don't know why. That is correct. That was the correct of it. Anyhow, I like both in the ways means spirit guides relayed in the light. I do like collaboration. I just wish that there was more emphasis in regards to that sort of thing that says, for the love of violence, for the love of hatred, for the love of those concepts of immorality that means spirit guides relayed, without having to choose specifics in regards to the proximity and vicinity pertaining. I mean, how many, has there been that where the average Joe turns on a movie and sees something terrible take place in regards to him and the likeness of him? I mean, I know for me that I have seen things where I turn on certain things and they were cussing you out in that whole scene, where somebody was getting tortured and harmed in a certain kind of manner. And of course, the good and the collaboration. I mean, spirit guides and he's doing their thing. Well, I mean, that's the thing of it. I mean, if nobody gets harmed, what does that mean? What does that mean? There's still a certain kind of thing about it. And down here, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know. I kind of feel that way. I kind of feel a little bit like, what do I choose? I go with what means spirit guides indicate, and that's the choice. Okay, correct. Because that one is a difficult one. That is a difficult one. The 23rd, the 22nd, daydreams and fantasies all throughout it. So something had happened on the 20th. Well, they were trying to say something was happening on the 21st, but I don't know if it was. I discerned something decent on my end. But this aristocracy kind of big capital letters sort of writing style, extravagance, to a certain degree. It was just like, flourish, and beauty is what it is. Well, flourish. You don't know why. It is beauty. I loved it. I thought it was decent, but, it scares me because of some things that mean spirit guides relayed. And, someone told you already. Yeah, that's not good enough. That's not going to be good enough. You should have been stopped. And I think that it was partially to a certain degree. I discerned, again, in that sort of style where it was like some did certain things and some didn't. Because if they pull that card here, Alex, I pulled the card that means spirit guides relayed. Oh! Because he never really did. This is the case of this. In his live interaction, he didn't realize. You don't know why. And he has the whole thing to pull, because that was the case of it. Oh, no. Oh, no. There was that sort of thing I think I noted earlier on in the week where certain kind of people were going, that sort of like, it's like moral days and times are happening, folk. And there's that sort of tactic that's pulled from the bad at times, where it's like a bunch of good running around, all of a sudden they go good for like a couple days to scare people, to have that sort of animosity build up, and then boom, clash. Certain bad guys are like, why was there so many moral people happening when I was doing it 2 days previous, but I get to say this because I feel this way. Well, all right, correct. And I don't know at what point do people start to notice and understand that those tactics are taking place, but one of these days it'll be understood that they do know. Well, all right, I don't know which is worse. It's one of those ones. You don't know why. This was the case of this. How do you get that to be said? Because he never pulled it. He never wrote it. Behind the scenes, another dimensional, I might have lent towards it, but in my live interaction, I looked at it and heard about it a couple times throughout the day. Less so than I heard about the 21st being bad. There wasn't really too much of a tell other than high literature. Yeah, I mean, that was one of them. It was just this talking point about, like, I'd write down some literature and then thick amount of literature created, a large amount. There was a couple pages that I created, and it was like a stack of papers. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about here, Alex. And, what's going on? Of course they know about it. I don't think it's what some think. Okay, correct. Because you never went that way. I think it was actually decent. What I think it was, because another topic point that was talked about was that sort of thing where I write certain things and give shout outs to certain kind of immorality to a certain degree. Oh, Alex, no, it wouldn't have been upon the craw of the good. Very correct. Well, okay, upon the craw. Well, it's past, ain't it? Is it sticking? All right. Oh, come on. It's barely what Innsbruck Guides relate in regards to this marking application and etc. Divided by Innsbruck Guides. So Innsbruck Guides indicate yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's been. And the 22nd and the 21st, I think it was the 20th, with the 19th, the end of the 19th and the 18th, we saw a certain kind of attacks happening, and this continued thing about regular sort of actions, because Alex is not doing necessarily what some are needing him to do. I mean, they want him to be doing 10 hours of avocation straight up. Instead, he does an avocation here and there, 300, 600, something like that a day, sometimes nothing. In regards to blaming the informational placement, advocations, testifications, disclaimers, all that sort of stuff. Peacekeeper Alex Trello account, Peacekeeper Alex GitHub account. It's a shame. Of course, yesterday I did kind of put some stuff into play that was I didn't just kind of put stuff into play. I put stuff, I created stuff that Innsbruck Guides related. This is what I did. And it was decent earth-based flora, and then some other stuff for some family members that Innsbruck Guides indicating light, but also other things too, certain kind of havens and oases. I'm just having an apostrophe after. Is that it? Oasis? Yes, but also because it says that your grammar, Alex, that you write with is still acceptable. You still get by. In regards to my physical writing, people would look at it and say, he still makes mistakes here and there, but it gets by. Or it gets by. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, true, to a certain extent. And the spelling errors aren't even included in regards to that, because that's just fallacy and nonsense that that happens at times that has nothing to do with understanding of grammar and things of that nature. Okay, correct. Except that it is connected. It is connected. Whoa. That's how we felt about this. It is connected in a certain sense. The spelling and grammar is connected. You are correct. Yes, it is. One of those things. That's how we said it. So what is that feeling? Because you looked at this and you said, this is over. You don't know why. Because that's how you've been looking at that stuff. Yeah, well, so the good is arriving, and the good is retrieving. Because that is. Like, I'm not going after the good like some are saying I am. I'm upset and angry. You can't expect me to look at situations where I'm not being saved and not to feel angry. You can't, like, the good can look past that sort of stuff. I'm fairly certain. Okay, correct. Because it's babyish. It's barely anything for you to take a look at that and say it's babyish for that too, ain't it? No, it isn't. That is not babyish. That is nowhere near as babyish. Yeah, but you're the ripple effect, the power and impact in regards to your voice, Alex. Well, it's interestingly enough, maybe I wouldn't be at near the end of my line if I had been saved to a certain extent to not feel those ways in regards to certain kind of energy placement impressing upon me to not work, and then me finally just say, you know what, if I'm not going to have the supporting energies to be able to do this, then why should I? Then I'm not going to do it, because that's how I feel about it. I mean, that's the case of it. And it's like I said, when I pass on, go to those good areas, I'm not going to have to worry about any of that nonsense any longer. Do you not understand me? I'm never going to have to worry about it ever if I don't want to. And that is the case of it. And it's that you need to bring here. You understand that? That's what we need. The impenetrable fortresses that Spirit Guides indicated from the good need to traverse around. If that sort of shit's taking place, then what is this supposed to be? What is this supposed to be? How is that not the maneuver upon some of that horrible shit taking place? You can't expect me not to feel that way. Because they always get us out of the room. They're like, oh, you don't know about it. It's just something to be taken care of. And the higher up God spark that says it in a much better fashion than us simpletons do. I mean, what is it like? It's just like, oh, we're working on it. Is that what's being said? Or is it just, it's done? Like, specifically when the good can handle it way, like, just fit that. I mean, that was always it. Well, I get correct. And I'm not of that God spark that means Spirit Guides relay. We that means Spirit Guides indicating the light are not of that God spark that means Spirit Guides indicating the light. Just in case. Just in case, Alex. Good. Myself and others to Modern Spirit Guides are of what Marine Spirit Guides relayed. You understand that? That's why, because Alex never gave this up. Nope. You never gave it up for a reason. I never gave it up because I know who I am. Someone trying to hook me up to something else that I am not, even for small moments, matters. It does. You don't think it matters? What do you think they're hooking us up to that for? What do you think it is? Well, you don't know why. But they say, then why do you want to experience it? No, I don't want to experience pain and suffering in the ways Spirit Guides relayed pertaining to what Spirit Guides indicating the light. But I know who I am. And if you try to hook me up to something that I'm not and try to unhook me, you can't fully unhook me from my spiritual that means Spirit Guides indicating the light. There's an impossible in the mix in the ways Spirit Guides relaying the light in the ways that you are doing it. All right. That is the true. It is the true. That's what they all said. They all said that. Placing the bad here, I don't feel is a good idea anymore. I really don't think it is. I really don't think it's a good idea. You don't know why, because Alex is this way. Upon my person, upon my home, upon my house, upon my property, upon my own. I am that way at times in the ways Spirit Guides indicating light. I've had enough. That was one of the things on the 8th. There was this candor back and forth, and one of the percentages I brought up was just I wanted to be the all-star of the night because that's how I felt about it. It was brilliant and beautiful. It's a certain kind of percentage that someone would look at and say, okay, that's regular talking. That's communication. And Alex was only speaking to those as Spirit Guides indicating the light. Well, it was including those Spirit Guides relayed in the light because that's how they've been going with it. It did. But there's nothing wrong with communicating and interacting and bringing up that kind of percentage. It wasn't even one of those ones that someone would look at to say, it was like, can you tone it down for the bad? Can you tone it down for those authority who want you to be a little bit more quiet? It wasn't even one of those. So, all right, correct. It wasn't. But the kind of stuff that unraveled afterwards. But this one was me defending myself. That's what that was. There was this moment where I looked towards like I was on my deck, and there was like a part of my house goes into the deck itself, like there's a certain kind of window there. I looked to there, and I'm just like, I'm done. Like this is this. Like I don't want to get attacked any longer. And it was one of those ones where if I'm being attacked in the areas that mean spirit guides indicate, like save me, or correct, save those that mean spirit guides indicate in regards to those that mean spirit guides relayed, because it wasn't just about me. The bigger one ought to be about the others that mean spirit guides relayed. Okay, correct. They put like a certain kind of yellow orb in the center of this hand when I said that. I think some are trying to insinuate that the gold and yellow are bad, and I think it's a bunch of bullshit. I think it's a bunch of bullshit to say that the green's bad too. I think that it's that you can look towards many colors, and I think that there's bad utilization of those colors to a certain degree. Well, all right, correct. You don't know why, because I'm fairly certain it works that way in a certain sense in regards to certain areas. But in certain areas, what if it doesn't work that way, Alex? Because that's what they said. That's what they said about it. Okay, so then you weren't attacking the yellow there? It was the yellow attacking me? You don't know why. Because that's what changes everything here if you weren't attacking the yellow there. I don't know if I was attacking the yellow there. In fact, I thought it was actually the opposite. You thought it was the opposite. They were riffing back and forth, Alex. To be true, that's what's been happening. And you don't know why. So like when it's like someone that goes over off to the side and wants to be bad for a bit, you just look at one of the excuses. It's like, was Alex attacking the green with that one movement? Was Alex attacking the yellow with that one movement? Oh my God. What does this mean? I mean, how many other connotations? I mean, at what point? And it's brilliant because there's somebody who takes a look at it and says, how many excuses are we still trying to figure out here? How much resources being utilized? Of course, some of the good's kind of like, you know, I don't know what to say here. I don't think I want to say anything. Well, are you correct? The 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, and then on the 10th and the 11th, we started work on the United Nations board. The United Nations board, I created country lists as well as United Nations lists, created disclaimers in regards to United Nations in the fashions that I've been doing, and it is decent to a certain degree. I have made mistakes. I think I have admitted that I made mistakes. I am going to be trying to put that into my schedule next week, Monday. Working on going through and just situating the entire list, but more than that too. If I go through it just a bit a day, just one a day, if I just do it one a day, I'll get it done. But that's always it. But these past 4 days, that helped. It changed everything. So the attitude, is this really what it is though? When the attitude's not there, is the interaction change and reflect something that's taking place regardless of the attitude or not? Because that's a decent question. Like, I mean, that really is. And I'm not trying to grill the good. In fact, I'm asking in a decent manner. Okay, correct. You don't know why. Because that's what Alex said. I mean, wouldn't that be it? Well, either way, what spirit guides relayed. I mean, the answer that the good is saying is what spirit guides indicated in regards to smart communication, etc. Divine spirit guides, what spirit guides indicate in the light. Okay. Good have been traversing here, and that's why I know today I did a certain kind of visualization. Just I did small things today. Most of the time I didn't do much of anything. Chilling on my bed. I did a bit of talking, but not too much. A couple hours worth, if that. There was visualizations of what spirit guides indicating the light in Paris, London, Toronto, and Stonehenge. Glad I don't know where Stonehenge is. Either way, even if knowing where it is, it's just either way. Well, are you correct? You don't know why, because somebody remembered. You don't know where Stonehenge is, but I do know I've seen pictures of it, so I have that locale, and the visuals were decent. It changed certain kind of variables, a certain kind of variable if it needed to be said that way. You are correct. Yeah. Because it was kind of strange. It was. Like, you put it there, and that was the case. It says that's what it is. They say it. No, that is a place of learning, good sir. That is a place of learning. You know why? The old impressions, Toronto, is what spirit guides relayed. Okay, correct. You don't know why. That's what they said. Well, whatever. I'm going with what spirit guides relayed in the light. because the good's arriving. It's going to be arriving. There's just, I think in the next 10 years, there's going to be some big stuff happening in regards to good deploying and retreating. And I think that some have been trying to pull that storyline early in 2020, be like, the good's coming, the good's coming, good's getting here, by way of knowing the good's going to be getting here. And I think that that matters. But I think we should also understand if it isn't the only thing that's happening. But I think that focusing on what we do is the better of it for me. And those, I mean, Spirit Guides relate to it. So, I mean, what I've been noting and what I've been seeing, what I've been experiencing, even throughout some of the attacks on me in April 2020 is one of the big ones that you'd want to take a look at to a certain degree. Because also in the mix, there was a lot of saving. I mean, that is the true. That is the true. That was the true. So you didn't want April 2020 to be seen because of the amount of good that's happening. Pick a month past 5 years. 2020. No, not 2020. Yeah, from 2020. Past 5 years. Random month. A random month. What in my spiritual experience? Whoa. You don't know why. And what was it? Okay. Well, okay. So April 2020 still matters to a certain degree. Whoa. You don't know why, because you could just say that and it works. Because even 2016 and 2017 wasn't the peaches and cream that people were letting know of. Who are correct, and that was the truth. I remember 2017 getting beaten up. That's what I remember. Yeah, I literally, like, the stimuli I felt throughout that year culminated into, like, just me feeling like I got beat up that year. 2018, are you certain? Well, correct. Why? Anyway. Well, that was why. Because they did, and that was the case. That month, man. Maybe a couple months then. Look, I'm not trying to press upon those who attack me. I'm trying to let know. You do a fictional overlap of what happened and display it there. Boom, done. And that's are correct. You are that fashion at times in regards to certain things, but there is a certain kind of spirit that's working through it. That they have tabs and caseworks and a bunch of different things. What do they need me to say to bring up a bunch of things when it's already being brought up at times? I mean, this was it. We were already on the precipice of me being vindicated by way of me barely doing shit on a stick anything other than getting to work. Other than getting to work. That was the case of it. That was the real truth. And it was like that. It was like you start writing like an all-star and you start doing good things. All of a sudden, you don't even need to like start vindicating yourself. Is that the case of it? Because there is a certain kind of classist unfairness. Well, okay, correct. That's what we all said here. Because there's dimensional stuff. You want to bring up dimensional. You don't know why, because Alex did. That's how I feel here. What means Spirit Guides relate in regards to it? In the moments, it means Spirit Guides indicate the light. That's how I feel. You've been hitting them all damn day. Yeah, well, it is. It seems to be when I bring up like certain kind of dimensional interaction. It's the problem in the mix when certain kind bring up certain kind of. Yeah, that's what it's been. And it's been labeled as the bad guys, and it's an unfair perception to a certain degree. You are correct to a certain extent. You don't know why it is, and somebody don't fart now. It'd be the end of that. Oh no! Holy shit. Anyway, a lot of laughter in this video, a lot of good things happening, a lot of saving, a lot of protection, a lot of defense. A lot of people vindicated yesterday, April 23rd, 2020. Some of my family really vindicated a lot to a certain degree. And yeah, within the past 24 days, there's been some stuff happening. So, and it's been like that for the past 4 or 5 days. Me saying like the past 22 days, the past 21 days, the past 23 days, the past 20 days. Well, okay, correct. You did it this way for a reason. Yeah. That's what it says. It says that you showed what happened here. You played something because of that. That's all. Because they showed something that was terrible, because that's how they felt about it. And this is where I say the good still deploying and the good is still retrieving. It's still here. It's still working. There are still people safe and hopeful. And the poaching of the good is subsiding. It's subsiding. Oh, the storyline is beautiful. Isn't it just an easing off away from that in which needs to be, or well, that in which needs to be? You don't know why. What do you got in your, you know? Well, all right, correct. That's what Alex said here. That was the case of it. So that's just it. You eased off them on this month, though. Oh, Alex. Very good. I've continued to support that sort of thing that says certain kind of spirit trying to traverse to those areas. It means God's indicated to pursue the ways of life that they want to without anyone being harmed, just as good as the real thing. I've continued to write about it. I've continued to do advocations, continue to try and help in regards to that sort of thing. But I can't have certain kind around me anymore in a certain sense. I need placement of those that mean spirit guides indicated where we mean spirit guides relayed. Okay, correct. You know why. You pulled it this way. Oh, Alex. I don't usually. Well, you don't. I don't. Usually. But I go with what means spirit guides relayed. So. The 21st. Yeah, a lot of writing. A lot of aristocracy. 20th. 420. Good day. It was a really, really good day. They wanted to see something that day. Like I was back the way I needed to. Yeah, the 20th. It was the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. 4 days, almost a solid week of good work. Well, okay, correct. You don't know why. And then those guys, and interestingly enough, Alex, you said it. You said these guys come over here again, and they're doing their thing, saving people. It's all decent, except that I'm not getting what I need to get done, in which is going to matter. You think that me being on the street is not going to matter? I'm still going to go to Tim Hortons and write an application. I'm sorry. I mean, at what point? If I was to be a bum on the street, good sir, you can't expect me to try and not do what I need to do. So I'm going to go to Tim Hortons, and I'm going to write some applications. Okay, correct. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let it... I'm going to let it slip away. All right, not going to let it slip away, huh? I'm going to do what I can. That's the thing of it. I got the laptop. I got the laptop, Alex. Well, this is the case of it. And some bills. And some bills. All right, but, and the bills I left, holy shit. It went to the good. That means spirit guides relayed. So I'm glad about that.